this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this pushback that the media gave Elon Musk after he compared George Soros to Magneto from, the comic books and stuff, because he said he's a hater of humanity, which some people are like, don't insult Magneto that way. But the media's response and stuff, to always protecting George Soros, they'd go to, like, you're being anti-Semitic, and that's the route they go with people that they want to protect. Like if you call Trump called Omarosa a dog, not particularly a dog, but like maybe he said something like a dog or whatever, but made that kind of comparison, like, oh, how dare he attack a black woman? But if someone were to say that about me, they wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, how dare they attack a black woman? Like they shield whatever kind of group or class they put you in if they like you, and if they don't like you, then you're just an awful, terrible person, etc. And we can throw away all the like extra things we're supposed to uplift and protect the other, like the kind of other you are doesn't matter if they don't like you. So a lot of this inclusion stuff is just really a sham, in a way to obtain political power and favor and fake virtue and stuff, which, by the way, it's also like International Day against homophobia and transphobia and other things today. So we'll talk about that as well. Also, Lilly Wachowski, who's one of the Wachowski brothers, I guess they now consider themselves sisters, but was Andrew and Lawrence, I think, and so now it's Lana and Lily, but they're the ones who did like The Matrix, Jupiter Ascending, and they had hits and misses for sure. That last Matrix movie was just awful, big waste of time. I should have just let it be. Ruined a lot of things, I think. Ruined a lot of things, and I don't understand why, if you watch the film or don't watch the film, Keanu, his powers are basically he's just like doing this the whole time, and it's just like making like force kind of balls, not like cool Dragon Ball Z energy blast so much. It's just like just kind of using force powers, but not really much kung fu or anything like you saw in the other films. And I'm like, okay, is he just not able to kind of do some of this stuff? And then you watch John Wick, and he's not moving as fast as he did back in the day, or even like a couple maybe John Wicks ago. But I'm like, I'm confused. I don't understand. Why did you just let it be? Why didn't you just let it go? Why? Anyway, I'm not here to complain about the Matrix, though I could do a whole video about the last Matrix film. But interesting commentary about the moment, I guess, when he accepted himself as a trans woman, and I want to play that for you, so we'll get to that. And also Fetterman has having a difficult time, and journalists are covering for him, and so one got called out, and they used a quote that they were spreading around as if he had said it. He definitely didn't say what they claimed that they said. And so he ended up taking it out and apologizing. But people are like, okay, well, you got that quote from his office. So do you have a problem with the senator's office, like, blatantly giving you false quotes? So that's a question I think we should ask ourselves today. And I'm sorry to have to kind of show you how painful it was. But it's just a fact of reality. So before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. Please check out different merch that we have at the store. Like I have, oh, sorry, Did not mean to to tap that. Though I go to it quite often. I didn't mean to tap that. Uh, so I got the Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion, my book that you guys can go ahead and purchase on Barnes and Noble. Or you guys can get it from Amazon. You can on paperback. You can on ebook. And so I do often talk about abortion from the perspective of just science and rights and so on. But I've let's just I'll cut the intro or the explanation short today and just say I found it necessary to also tackle theology as well. So I wrote this book, so I hope you guys like it. I appreciate everyone who did buy it and has liked it and said kind things about it. But it's available. So go pick it up today. If you're not aware, this broadcast right now is not actually live. So thank you to everyone who is watching it live, and thank you to everyone who watches it back later anyway. But I will not be responding to your comments because there's none that I can see right now because I'm just recording into the camera and it's streaming live. Reason being is because this weekend I'm actually at Motor City Comic Con. I have a booth and stuff, so I'm selling my product and I have lots of books that I've written. I did not post my new picture. Well, I don't have it. I did post a new picture with me in all 17 of my books, but I didn't upload it here. But I do have 17 published books. 2 of them are nonfiction, one of them being the abortion book, and the rest are about a whole different host of things. So I got children's books or chapter books like Super Kid 2. I got books about, vampires, and I got werewolves and The Dark Mermaid, and I have my historical fiction fantasy book series that you guys can check out. So takes place in the Civil War. Imagine like the Civil War meets X-Men. So go ahead and check that out. This is the one that people really, 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 really they all like my stuff, but this is the one that gets recommended a lot, that the people are very fond of, and I'm very, very proud of that series. Not that I'm not proud of them all, but that's usually the one I recommend. Unless you got kids, then you got to read Super Kid. So please check out that stuff. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost of stream, run my website, all that good stuff. So if you can support in that way, God bless you. I very much appreciate it, and I very much appreciate everyone who has done so. Otherwise, you guys can give stars if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys can do super chats and stuff. But a good, easy way to give is to, again, go to the website, go to the donate page, or you can go to paypal.me/blacktnews, and there should be links for both of those in the description if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. So last thing I'll say is you guys can also pick up different merch at the store as well. So go check out different merch that we have on the website. Okay, so I do have a funny today, leading into the first story that we'll tackle with Elon Musk. So this is from the Babylon Bee, a headline. And Elon Musk apologizes to Magneto for comparing him to George Soros. And Elon, I think that's the real Elon, who has commented, maybe it is, maybe it is not, but it's funny. So he said he believes that George Soros is a hater of humanity, like Magneto. And my sister saw that. She did reply to that tweet and was like, hey, don't insult Magneto. But Magneto doesn't like humanity, because if you're unfamiliar with X-Men and Magneto, he doesn't like humans, and he's a supremacist. He is, but he's just a supremacist for mutant kind. If you all saw X2, there's a scene in the film. There's a person. Stryker is a military guy. His son is a mutant, and he has very very strong telepath powers. That's even able to he's even able to get into Xavier's mind. So they kidnap Xavier, Charles Xavier, and he believes that he's in Cerebro, and they build a Cerebro, and Cerebro is how he finds mutants. And so they have him, they say if he concentrates too hard, he could basically kill every single mutant on the planet, which makes you question, is this ethical to have at all? No, I would say sometimes watching these X-Men films, I'm like, I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that, bro. Um, so anyway, he they tell him to concentrate or whatever, and he's like looking for all the mutants, and he starts killing them, and then they're able to stop him. And then Magneto tells the guy who's in Charles's head to switch it, and he tells him to concentrate and find all the humans. So then he switches it and he starts like killing all the humans. So in the theaters, if your team like mutant or something, you might be like, oh, like, ha, payback. And it's like, wait a second. It's like we're all the human beings. We're the ones being killed. So yeah, so he is a hater of humanity. I mean, people like to take the mutant side and stuff because they're the main characters and everything. But it's like, whose side are you with? The Charles Xavier, like, you help humanity fight along with humanity to try to build a better tomorrow, even though that they hate you? Or are you like Team Magneto? Is like, no, we need to do our own thing through these guys. We are superior, etc. Which his story has changed over the years, but he's a traumatized and his world has been shaped from being a Holocaust survivor. So he the irony is that he's become, similar to what he hates and despises. So originally X-Men didn't have like kind of all this civil rights kind of background or stand-in or anything like that. That's how people think of it as. And Stan Lee just didn't want to think of explanations on how all these superheroes got powers. So that's basically how, mutants came to really be. And so, but the X-Men has some really cool stories and stuff. When I explain my historical fiction fantasy, I do say it's like X-Men meets the American Civil War. So again, check out my book. It's available. Just search my name, Christina Elbar, on Amazon, and you'll find my stuff. But anyway, now that we've got our background on Magneto a bit, George Soros, if you're not familiar, he's like an evil billionaire who hates, I believe billionaire, but he's an evil, very rich man who wants to reshape our country. And he's the one who's funded a lot of these really woke, awful, soft on crime DAs. He's written articles about how he wants to do justice reform, and maybe you agree with his worldview, but it hasn't been good for our cities in the least bit. Bragg in the New York, he's someone who's funded through Soros. The guy who's like charging Trump on a silly charge, and that's it's going to take a while for that case to go through or whatever, but it's a crazy charge that shouldn't be happening. But also they recently charged Daniel Penny, which is, I guess, more controversial, but they charged him with manslaughter. He's the one who was choking out the aggressive homeless man who was threatening the train full of people. And so they didn't go with a murder charge. They went through manslaughter, and it's going to be a more interesting case because I don't think the intent matters, because the intent was clearly not to kill this man, though people keep talking about it as if the intent was there, when I think it's pretty evident that it wasn't there. And but if they can prove that it was reckless, then he can be convicted. Now, I don't know what his day in court is going to be like, and what kind of public pressure or what kind of thinking that people will have going in. Even like how you explain the instructions to the jury matters a lot. And then there's also like, can there be activists and stuff on the panel as well? So we'll see what happens. They've raised a lot of money. DeSantis like shared it's not GoFundMe, but it's another giving site that people use instead of GoFundMe, and he's raised like over $1 million in his defense. So we'll see what happens with him, but people are well aware of that some of these people that Soros funds is has a kind of a twisted sense of justice where they don't want to prosecute other sort of thefts and assaults and so on. But if it's something like with Trump, um, they'll go ahead and do that because they have their agendas. They definitely have their agendas. But anyway, he had this interview with mainstream media, and if you attack George Soros and you talk about George Soros, they want to say that it's because of anti-Semitism when that isn't the case. And so Elon Musk was confronted about that. So he gave a thoughtful answer to all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and play that interview.
Choice. You don't see, I mean, in terms of when you're going to engage. I mean, for example, even today, Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But, I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
I said it reminds me of Magneto. It's just like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also... you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
Yeah, I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree?
I love the look on his face when he goes, I agree with his opinion, by the way. I agree with his opinion, and a lot of people do, and that's something that a lot of people have observed while just following George Soros. People have been talking about George Soros forever. He is like the right man's boogeyman or whatever, but that doesn't, just because the people on the right have been talking about him for a long time, doesn't mean that there's not validity to those statements. He has been investing a lot of his money into policies that we've seen that have negatively impacted America, and that continues to do so, and he is continuing to go in that sort of direction. So what else are we supposed to think? What else are we supposed to say? But people going this route of, oh, you must be anti-Semitic because you talk about this man and he's Jewish. That's just a route that they go. Like, but and the flip side, if someone says, oh, Christina, I don't like that chick, they're like, oh, you're talking about this black woman, you must be racist. They don't do that. They only do that for like their side.
In terms of when you're going to engage. I mean, for example, even today, Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But, I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
I said it reminds me of Magneto. It's just like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also... you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you? Advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you. Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it widely?
I mean, this is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are. But I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
I believe that probably is the case.
Yes.
But why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
I mean.
Why is he introducing the idea that could be the case? It's like, I don't believe that, but I'm gonna repeat that. But and granted, that is what people are saying, but just because people say things doesn't mean that there's any validity to them. And it's the different folks in the media who are pushing that narrative, and then they're repeating that narrative, trying to make that narrative grow. So if he genuinely believes that he's not anti-Semitic, then why introduce that and be like, well, why open the door for that? What did he do that opened the door for that? Criticize an individual human being? Like, you guys are the ones who are taking, again, like this box this category that they fit into, and you're using it as a shield so you can't talk about that individual. But he's not talking about the Jews. He's not talking about the Jews. He's talking about a man who has agency, who has resources, who has power, who's been involved with politics for a very long time, has his hands very much in our system. It has funded a lot of people who I don't like, who've done bad things, who have bad ideas, who are hurting people around this country, and it is taking it in a bad direction. So if you mention those things, then you're opening the door for someone to call you anti-Semitic. That's ridiculous. And they know that's ridiculous, but they have a game to play. We don't
want to make this a George Soros interview.
No, God, no. I don't want to at all. But what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political?
And you know what? Saying they brought up in the annual meeting, they bring it up or whatever. It is valid that like you run a company, that certain things that you say, people are going to look at that, and people are going to make decisions about things that you do. And there's going to be people who really, might not like him personally and might not want to buy the Tesla or whatever. Those things are true, but you have to know that they do bring these things up in the media, so they will pressure companies to take different positions and different stands. They'll introduce it in some kind of news story, and then they hope that there's pressure on the business side, and then like they do a 180 or something. So like, they'll go to something's going on around with like the voting rights in like Georgia or someplace, and they're like, well, how do you feel about this? They'll ask this company how they feel about it or whatever, and then they don't want to answer, like, oh, well, they haven't taken a stance on that, and that becomes a story, and then they feel pressure, and then they feel like they have to do something and they have to act. Like, I don't believe, like, we're coming up on Pride Month, everybody's getting ready for their rainbow stickers and all that stuff. I don't believe that all these companies are actually that invested or care that much about LGBT stuff, but it's like, well, if you're the only person in the whole entire mall without a rainbow flag in your door, then something's wrong with you, and then you're judged. So they use this sort of pressure all around to make companies take some kind of action, or the shareholders or whoever takes some kind of action, and people just fall to social pressure, and it all just kind of happens like dominoes. So them mentioning like, well, aren't you concerned about the impact that it's going to have? He might be like concerned in a journalistic kind of way, but they also play a game of where they want this to be a story, and they want that to have an effect, and they want it at the end of the day to hurt his pocketbook, so he thinks differently and will control his tongue. Like, these are not innocent questions. I don't think they're innocent questions, because this is a repeated thing that the media does. It's a pattern. So let's keep watching.
Position, because, and I know it because he shares so much of it. Or there are advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of there's a scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie. Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
I just love that he took a second to just think about it, and really, really think about it, and then came up with that answer. Pop culture reference. Who hasn't seen The Princess Bride? And brought up that scene and told the world, I do not care. You cannot bully me out of saying what I think I need to say. Or you cannot shut down my opinion, my free speech. That is why he bought Twitter. That is why he bought Twitter, for people to be able to express themselves. That is the only like platform that it really is kind of free speech. And I in my opinion, I think some of the other ones have kind of been a little more lax as of recent. And I don't know, it was just because Twitter. TikTok can still be pretty darn bad, but I know there's been like some big stories of different censorship and demonetization, like for Matt Walsh, for example. But I don't think it's been as bad as it has been in the past, observably. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys noticed something different, but I'm still appreciative of Twitter. Very appreciative of Twitter and Elon's stance on free speech and people having a platform and a place to voice their opinions. And if you're like the richest man in the world and that doesn't buy you the freedom to, at least the freedom to say what you want to say in a country where that's supposed to be a God-given right that you shouldn't have to purchase anyway, then there's a really big problem. But people obtain so many things to a point where there's some people who should feel like they're uncancelable and untouchable, but they go ahead and they allow themselves to be afraid anyway, and they'll backtrack when pressured with different things. We've seen it time and time again with different celebrities. But Elon Musk is saying no. Like, if I have to lose some money, I lose some money. And it was a big risk to buy Twitter the way that he did, because it wasn't really making money anyway, and he spent a lot on it. But it's his, and he owns the platform. Took it private, and saying that George Soros is like Magneto and hates humanity, that should be like, this is my opinion about this one person. He is a powerful person. He has a lot of money, a lot of influence, etc. But it is his opinion on a person. It is not him attacking a group. And it is so transparent what they're doing by just using the blanket like, oh, it's anti-Semitic. When you talk about an individual, that's so ridiculous. And talking about how it could impact different money that he has. And that's just the reality of the world that we're living in. But bringing it up again, I don't believe that is an innocent question. It's kind of to just remind him, like, sir, you have things to lose. And I love that he looked him dead in his eye and said, there's nothing that you can do to make me not speak my mind. And not everyone has, money like Elon, the forget you kind of money. But a lot of people who do have money like that still feel like they have a lot to lose, care about the virtue signaling or whatever. But he's not that kind of person. So I admire that. So kudos to him, and kudos to everyone else who feels that they have to say what they have to say and be honest and true about the world around them. And you guys know that I am one of those people. So who will segue into the next segment, I suppose. So I said the other day, someone replied to a video that I did. If you've seen my YouTube shorts or whatever, or TikTok, there was someone who did a video, a trans woman who did a video saying that not accepting the word cis is like using the N-word, which is so bizarre and so ridiculous. Because I'm like, not wanting to be called this thing. And I have an article on my website, blacktnews.com, about how cis is a slur. And you don't agree with me? Go read the article and see if you change your mind. But he's saying not wanting to be called this thing is the same as using the N-word. So, a pretty ridiculous thing. If I don't want to be called something, it's the same as just, using the hard R word. So, okay. So I responded to that, and then he responded to me, and then I responded again, and he called me transphobic, etc., blah, blah, blah. And he told me to, have the day I deserve. So, I've been waiting. I had been waiting for someone to tell me that, because I don't know how often people say that outside of Twitter. I mean TikTok, but I was waiting, and people had said that before, but lost deep in my comment section. So I'm like, I can't wait for someone to say that to me again, because I know exactly what I'm going to do. So he was the one who did it. So my sister happened to be home at the time with me, and I was like, Katrina, like, I need to, like, let's do a video really quick. I need to sing the song Blessed. So it's a Fred Hammond song, quite old now, but sing it for a long time. And we sing it, but we sing it in church still quite often. So we went up, to record, got the ring light, and, I looked at the comment, and then I, just kind of smiled. I'm like, everybody say blessed. Blessed. We just start singing Blessed in harmony. It's like, we're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the field, we're blessed when we come and when we go. We cast down every stronghold, sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. So yeah, if you tell me to have the day I deserve, I'm going to go have a blessed day, because I think that's what I deserve. That's what I'm claiming, to have a blessed day. That insult doesn't make any sense. Like, they say that with such, authority, but I'm like, it doesn't work if I don't agree that I deserve a bad day. So I reject your curse upon me, and I claim something better in Jesus' name. So, someone replied on that video and was like, never wonder why people hate Christians, or people don't like Christians. And they said that this was a terrible response, like cruel or whatever. And I'm like, how come their intention for me isn't bad, but me saying I'm gonna have a blessed day is a bad thing? So so they had also said something in another video, and I said that they are non-binary, or something about non-binary, and I said no one is non-binary. And then she replied, and she's like, I'm non-binary. And then I was like, are you, like, sperm and ova? Like, those are the two. Like, are you saying that you are neither of these? And then she did a video that was kind of bizarre. And she's like, either you're transphobic, or you're saying, either you're transphobic, or you're saying I don't exist. And I'm like, why are those the options? Like, me not agreeing to your list of demands about how I think about you, how I address you, your identity or whatever, doesn't make you disappear, doesn't make you unexist. Now, frankly, my first thought of a reply was to clip Thanos in there and then doing a dispersion effect on her. I also thought about I bought my sister like a Thanos kind of ring set that like Hot Topic was selling some time ago for Christmas, and her fingers are much smaller than mine. And so the rings, they can be stretched out, but I'm like, I don't want to stretch out her rings like that. Maybe they'll never get back to the right size. So I was like, let me just forget about that. And so I'm going to reply to her on TikTok, but yeah, you don't just you're just not non-existent because I don't accept that you're non-binary. That's not how that works. Like, it's not like I don't know, Peter Pan, when you say you don't believe in fairies and a fairy drops down dead or something. That's not how it works. I wouldn't be having a discussion with you, a conversation with you, if I didn't think you if I thought you didn't exist. I'm not a crazy person. I'm not talking to myself. I'm not schizophrenic or something. I'm, you clearly exist. We just have a disagreement about your self-perception. And that's what it is. But you being non-binary isn't the same as someone else being trans. So why would that make me transphobic? But in general, people think I'm transphobic and will say that all the time. And I'm like, but the reason why you say that is because I won't meet your list of demands. That's what it is. Like, your pronouns, which I wouldn't use in a conversation with you. If I was talking directly to you, I wouldn't really use your pronouns. That's about how I talk about you and I project your perception on other people, and I'm not going to do that because I believe it's advancing something that's untrue. And you're asking me to lie, which is immoral and from my perspective also sinful. So I can't do what you're asking me to do. That makes me transphobic because I one, don't believe what you're telling me, and two, I won't sell the thing that I don't believe. So you think that makes me phobic? If that's what it is, it is what it is, and I don't know why I should be offended by that word. If that's the meaning of it, that I will not bow down to you, if that's what that means. Why should anyone care? Seriously, why should anyone, if that's the meaning of the word? Now, phobia is their like irrational fears and stuff, and I have yet to hear or see anyone who's like irrationally afraid of, you know, transgenders or whatever. But do people have reasonable concerns or reasonable fears? Heck yes. Heck yes. Like, am I concerned that there's people who are deeply distressed with their bodies and they go to these doctors, especially these modern doctors who have skin in the game. They have, skin in the game, financial incentive to make you a slave to big pharma for the rest of your life. So they tell people to go pump themselves with drugs as a solution, and to chop off their healthy body parts. And again, they'll be slaves to big pharma for the rest of their lives. And they say this is the way that it will, help you. But at the same time, everyone else has to go along with it, or else that person will harm themselves and we'll be responsible. So everyone is emotionally blackmailed into affirming the thing that's supposed to fix people. So in my opinion, it doesn't sound like the goal is to heal people. The goal is to just cover the gigantic wound with a Band-Aid and hope the whole thing doesn't just collapse or something. That it doesn't get too bad. And if it does it, you're just going to blame someone else for not being accepting enough, affirming enough. And I think that's awful. And I think it's awful that there's people that are seeing how it's so celebrated and uplifted, and people feel like they're so special because of the media and entertainment, etc. And there's people self-diagnosing. There's basically no big opposition to it, and the numbers are increasing. They're like, well, that's because the acceptance is high. Yes, but that doesn't mean that they're genuinely dysphoric, or maybe they are dysphoric, but maybe they wouldn't be in other circumstances. So, people are like, no one's making your kids trans, or we can't make your kids trans. They were always that way. There's people, especially if you listen to people who detransition, they have other underlining kind of emotional problems or mental problems or whatever, but they self-diagnosed. No one gave them any sort of opposition, and they go chop their breast off. They inject themselves with hormones after they can get a prescription from Planned Parenthood after a 30-minute phone call. There was someone I got into a huge back and forth on Twitter the other day, and they were trying to say that Planned Parenthood, they do more than, their primary focus or whatever isn't abortions. It's other things like, birth control, and they're like, and I got my hormones from Planned Parenthood. I'm like, yeah, I know they do that now. They're preying on other vulnerable people. That's their thing. That still doesn't mean that they're not an abortion factory. I mean, people will say what's only 3% of what they do, but what they do is they pad everything with attachments. So if you go in for an abortion or something, let's say they also give you like a a kit to see if you have a STD or something, and they do something else or whatever. And let's say they're small interactions or whatever, but they deem each one as a service. So maybe you go on for one thing, but it's turned into 3. So that's how they get like abortion is 3% of their services or whatever. That would be like you going to Micro Center to buy a computer, and it's people just say the main thing they do is their main focus is selling flash drives because they sell so many, but it is a computer store. But yeah, I know that they do hormones. I mean, here's a Planned Parenthood. I'm sorry, that's Secretary Blinken. It's International Day against homophobia, biphobia, interphobia, and transphobia. Okay, so I think that was yesterday that they were putting that around. But people are just kind of talking about it today. But here's something that Planned Parenthood did. Why be against sexism, homophobia, or transphobia when you could just be quiet? So, what's with this photo? Like a girl in like the low cut underwear and the t-shirt on Planned Parenthood. Like people are like, they just want to make sure that people aren't having babies. And if they could just give more people birth control, we wouldn't have babies. No, we have a lack of babies because they keep murdering them. That's what they do. But the whole goal of like sex education in America is, I guess I don't want to say the whole goal, but a lot of people bring up like this stuff when the truth is they just want to sexualize and just make sex just kind of more normal. And sex is normal. It is natural. And, you know, I don't mean that it is an unnormal thing, but they just want to normalize a hyper sexual culture is what they want to do. And Planned Parenthood, there you go. Why is she just in her panties? Okay. So that's the attitude. Just, you know, just be quiet and what? Submit to the things that they're pushing. This is from Pink News, and this message here is saying that you can, maybe you're not even aware that you're a homophobe or transphobe or whatever. Maybe it's just the fact that you have these microaggressions and different stuff that you do. And I'm like, there's that word, microaggressions. But I'm going to show you this video of Lilly Wachowski, who's one of the directors for like The Matrix, spoke about how he became trans, or when it all clicked together for him. And I'm not super surprised.
The people that I saw, the first images that really struck a chord with me were, you know, trans women and pornography. And there was something that unlocked in my brain, that I saw these wonderful, fearless performers becoming desirable. And in my head, I could take the leap where I felt like, well, if I could be desirable, then maybe I could be loved. And for me, that's like one of the keys that trans people have to like struggle through, you know, will somebody love me? And so, yeah, that's my answer, Nick Adams.
That's an excellent answer, Lilly Wachowski.
So, question, do you think that maybe there were other things going on with Lilly before Lilly became Lilly and was Andrew? Do you think that maybe there were other underlining things that could have been addressed before it got to that point, saying that I want to be loved, and looking at pornography and these strong, fearless, hypersexual stuff? And that's when it clicked. If you're like a spiritual person, you're like like, oh, this is a battle of spirits and spiritual warfare and demons, and like that was the first thing about my head. But don't you think there's other things that could have been said or done or treated before it got to this route of like, let's like change your name, change your body, because you can be loved as a woman? People beloved the different things that you put out as, I mean, not everything that you put out as a man. Uh, but this is weird. But it also makes me think of like all those people are like, oh, showing your kids stuff isn't going to make them trans or whatever. Like, but there's so much praise and adulation. Like if you come out, not just trans, but if you're gay or whatever, but trans is like their flavor right now. So if you come out, then you're brave and you're stunning. And if someone speaks out against you or whatever, then they're the bigot or whatever. Think about, if you haven't seen the Riley Gaines interview that I put out, please go look at the Riley Gaines interview, how she talks about how the females were treated when they were forced to share the locker room with Leah Thomas, William Leah Thomas and stuff, and how they made them watch, like have like mandatory trainings, and was telling them that they're oppressing Leah because they're cisgendered women and he's a trans woman. And a lot of people want to be part of some kind of victim class, but imagine that you're some kind of Joe Schmo beta or something, and this is your opportunity to stand out and feel accepted and get that praise or whatever. And then he's also a perv too. And then you're uplifted and you that skyrockets, your star is like skyrocketing all of a sudden. And there's a lot of people out there who feel insignificant and unloved and very unspecial for whatever reason, and they see how much stock we put into Pride Month, and they want to join this community and they want to be protected in that sort of way. And then they start making decisions, and then they start rationalizing their depression and internalized misogyny or whatever it is as being trans. And then they go to people who should be helping them get through their issues, and then they instead just affirm the ideas that they have. And in some places it's illegal to even not to convince them of something otherwise. So when people say like it's not going to change your kid, yeah, maybe most kids, but the vulnerable kids who are questioning themselves, who are, maybe malleable and influenceable, sure it can. Even like stuff with the drag queen stuff, because now they have like TV shows like on Tyra Banks, I think it's Discovery that's doing it, a show about kid trans performers and other stuff like that. That stuff is weird and it's perverse, and it's an adult profession, and they're putting it on kids. And a lot of this stuff is to help adults feel better about themselves. Like, why else would you put a double mastectomy beaver on Blue's Clues? Like, nobody else, a child, I don't even know how, I mean, I covered that video a lot, and I just now recently found out that there was a beaver with double mastectomy scars. So I don't think, kids do ask a lot of questions, and maybe a kid will notice it, maybe they won't notice it. But why do that? Why put that in there? Because maybe you are hoping that a kid asks questions and it leads to other places, but adults want to use these kids to affirm themselves and also, I guess, grow their pot. And I wholeheartedly believe that they're aware of social contagion. Wholeheartedly believe that. Last thing I want to mention before I go is John Fetterman. So, he had made some comments the other day, and they were not very understandable. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this tweet because there were people who were trying to cover for him. And clearly they should not. They should not. So there was a journalist who had tweeted out a quote from what he said, and people are like, that is not the quote. That is absolutely not what he said. And that's not what he said, because what he said was like something that you couldn't really understand. So the journalist ended up deleting it and saying, well, it wasn't exactly what he said, but that's the quote that his staff gave me. So as this user pointed out, like, don't you have a problem that Fetterman's staff is like giving you fake quotes? Like, shouldn't that be something that's really concerning to you guys? Shouldn't that be concerning in the least bit at all? Kind of, sort of, a little bit. No, because at the end of the day, they got their guy in. They defeated Oz, which Oz wasn't my person of choice. I didn't have a vote there or anything because I'm not in that state. And I think they had better options. Out of the three main contenders, he was my least favorite of the three. But you guys saw the tweet, so I'm going to go ahead and play that exchange, and so you guys can know, if you haven't seen this, what was actually said and what they're kind of covering and how bad it is. And I feel awful, as in I feel they should have just let this man rest. And after he suffered, his stroke, they should have just been honest about how bad it was and allowed the Democrats to pick someone else to run. But they didn't do that. And he had a rough campaign, but at the end of the day, people didn't care because he just didn't want a Republican to win. So it was very tribal, very tribal. It wasn't about let the best person win. And so now we have these awkward sort of exchanges. So here we go.
Is it staggering? Is it a staggering responsibility that the head of a bank could literally crash our economy? It's astonishing. That's like if you have, and they also realize is that now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by how, So it's isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter to prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is? I'll give you an example. The Republicans want to give a work requirement for SNAP. For a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties, or there's some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sell your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it. Sure.
Yeah, gosh, it's such an awkward situation because I'm like, one hand, poor guy, and I'm like, but also, I guess he's aware of the situation. His awful wife, his awful staff, everyone who's just kind of a part of the train wreck. So, is what it is. Is what it is. So, anyway, his staff supplying fake quotes and whatnot. Do better. demand better of these people. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Make sure that you like, that you share, that if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live or post different videos and stuff. Also, check out different merchandise at the store, like the "You Are Not That Special" shirt. Also like the "You Are Not That Special." We got it in mugs. Also, other stuff you guys can get at blacktnews.com. So that also does support and help. If you can give a donation, please go on the website. Go to blacktnews.com/donate and leave a gift. Bible says you have not, because you asked not. So I'm going ahead and ask if you can, whether it's a gift of $10 or $15 or $20 or more. And some of you have done more, and it's, God bless you. And it has really been a, crunch time blessing and stuff. So thank you so much. But to everyone who at least comments and shares and stuff, that does really help. But I do thank you guys for going above and beyond. Again, show was not live because I'm actually preparing for Motor City, setting up my booth and all that kind of other stuff. So if you're in the Metro Detroit area, I'll be there this weekend. So I hope you guys come out and get a signed book and stuff. So otherwise, you guys can check out my books. My newest book is a sequel to my werewolf book. So it's also about werewolves, but this book is on a discount right now on Amazon, so it's you won't be able to see that it's on sale if you go to like Amazon or something, but it's $5 off the list price of what it will be, what it will usually be. This is the biggest book that I've put out, so it costs more to print than all the other ones. So it's gonna be all my other paperbacks are Slay Your Fear. I think is Super Kid is 10. I think the rest of them are 15. So this one's listed at 15 right now, but it will go up. So actually Kindle is changing their printing prices, and I don't know, I haven't had a chance to look. So it's possible they might all go up. I haven't had the time to look at how dramatically they're changing, but inflation, that's how things are. So if you want a deal, you guys can go ahead and look at them right now. I guess I could just hold them all up. They're all literally right in front of me right now. I did a live last night if anyone's interested in my books and stuff. So that's, I don't know if I have the time. I can do it quickly. But I just talked about how I became an author and etc. So that's available if you guys want to go look at it. But there's more content about my book stuff. I have an actual YouTube page. I haven't been kind to it. I haven't posted a lot. I gotta post more on it. But there's a Ninja Disc Publishing page. So that's Anubis. That's my vampire book. Dark Mermaid. Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear. That's nonfiction. Of course, here's my book. Of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. This is the only cover that I didn't totally do myself. Well, I do stock photos for the other one, so I guess as far as design, I still designed it, but my sister is the one who drew this hand reaching out to the little baby hand. So she did an amazing job. I love it so much. Then, of course, there's this one, Embers on a Dying Moon, and that's a sequel to Phases of a Broken Sky. So I do not have running out of time. I got to keep this under an hour. The Color of God's Eyes, Song on the Devil's Lips, The Empress, The Queen, Becoming Undone, Almost Alive, Dusk, and that's the sequel to Sunrise, Sunset, and then we get into our chapter books, Super Kid 2, of course, which is the sequel to Super Kid. So my stuff's available on Amazon. Please go check it out. God bless you guys. I will not have a live show tomorrow because I'll be busy selling, but